Hi, and welcome to College Credit Coach. My name is Tammy, and I'm here with my daughter, Emily. And here at College Credit Coach, we are striving to help kids of any age earn college credits before ever taking a college test or a college class. Today, we're going to talk about the Humanities CLEP test. And the Humanities CLEP test is a little bit of a hard, difficult test, as far as we found too. The Humanities test is one test that I put off to the very, very last. So before Humanities, we've had history. We've done the history CLEP test, we've done American literature, we've done English, maybe even the world religions DSST. But the Humanities CLEP test is designed to cover a broad range of information from arts and humanities to literature to even like architecture to
poetry.
Poetry is it's crazy amount of information. Okay, so if you have conducted your homeschool either in the Charlotte Mason approach or with classical conversations, you're going to have a lot easier time doing and completing the Humanities CLEP test, just because that's naturally built into, the information is naturally built into that kind of curriculum. For us, we really didn't do that kind of homeschooling, and so Humanities was a more intense test to study for us. Emily is my second child to take this Humanities test. Joshua, my oldest, took it first. And even back when Joshua took it, we couldn't find really good resources to study in order to take the test. And as Emily came next, then I tried to do a lot of research to find information. I still couldn't find any good textbooks or anything that I felt like would condense the study process down to make it more efficient. But I think we may have found something that we would like to share with you as we go through. So let's go ahead and start. Emily, why don't you tell us how many questions and a little bit of overview of the Humanities CLEP itself?
Yeah, so basically the Humanities CLEP test, like Mom said, it's really broad. It's 140 questions in 90 minutes, which is, at least from my experience, the most questions in 90 minutes that I've ever had to take on a CLEP test. The one that's close to that is biology, which is 120 questions in 90 minutes. But this one, Humanities, is 140 questions in 90 minutes, and it's a little bit of a challenge to study for, like Mom mentioned. You have to really know what you're trying to study, and you kind of end up having to study all of it at least a little bit. So you want to have a good knowledge of painters, the classical periods, and the Renaissance, all those periods, the time periods, the literary movements. And so, yeah, so should I go?
So you had to know authors, and then sometimes you would be given excerpts from literary works and have to say who the author was. Sometimes you'd have to say, identify what time period that those things were written. So it was a lot of, yes, knowing the facts, but also analysis and interpreting. So it was kind of, I wouldn't say tricky, but it's
probably
difficult.
one of the hardest tests I've taken because of how vague the CLEP comes out as. And if you're into humanities type stuff and read classical literature, it would be a lot easier, but we don't do that much as a family.
Okay, and now it's worth, at least for your college, it was worth 3 credits, right? Mm-hmm. But I have seen where it is worth 6 credits at some colleges just because of the intensity of the test. Then let's talk a little bit about what curriculum we did find that, I know we tried a bunch of things, but tell them in the end what you would recommend and what really did help you.
I would recommend, when I did it, I started with study.com, and they have, I believe it was about 250 videos, between 230 and 250 videos, all on humanities. And I would say that was really helpful, giving me a good foundation. But then whenever I took the practice test the first time, so after doing the study.com, I did that for about a month because it's so many videos, it's hard to get through. I took lots of notes and took me about a month.
And study.com is a subscription-based thing, so you would have to buy like a month's worth. But we found it very much worth it. Okay,
yeah.
Go ahead.
So after study.com, then I did a Peterson's practice test, and I did not do very well on that practice test. So I decided that I needed to do more studying, and I felt like more than just review what I knew, I needed to master what I knew. And for me, I found that InstaCert was a really good option. I believe they have about 516 flashcards, and I felt like those were all very helpful in just becoming, mastering the subjects and mastering who wrote the authors and just all that. And then after Insert, so Insert is a monthly subscription. It is, I think, $20 a month.
Yeah, and actually, I have a link that I'll put down in the description box for, I believe it's a $5 discount for a month of Insert. So you can get a discount on your Insert. We really found, even as you completed Insert, and then as we looked through the thread in Insert on the humanities, that's what a lot of people said helped them was the Insert flashcards and mastering those. So you tried to do the flashcards repeatedly until you got to mastery of all of them, each one, and then moved on to the next set of flashcards.
So I did study.com, then Insert, then I started doing practice tests. I also did read the REA CLEP book, but I didn't find that extremely helpful. This is the REA CLEP Humanities book I read through. It's not bad if you are struggling still after study.com and Insert. Definitely something to look at, but I didn't feel like it was abundantly helpful.
What about cracking the CLEP? Did this help you at all try to understand some of the questions?
I would say it was a little bit helpful, but I would say focus more on spending your money on Insert and study.com.
Okay.
So yeah, both of these books were okay, but not abundantly helpful. Looking back, I wish I could have taken it in a shorter period of time. I ended up staying for about 2 months for this test, and I would have loved to do it a little shorter, and that's how I would shorten it. After Insert, I did Peterson's practice tests, and those are our favorite form of practice tests. They really help us gauge whether
if we're ready.
If we're ready and if we'll pass the test. So I was getting between close to 55% on all 3 practice tests. And then we also bought, so I was starting to feel pretty confident with that. I normally try to get about 60% on practice tests, but with humanities being such a tough subject, I was happy to be getting 55%. And then the other thing we did buy that I would definitely recommend would be the from CLEP themselves. They have the Humanities Examination Guide, I believe it was called. Yep. Basically, it's an exam study guide, and basically what it is, it's 100 and I think 15 questions, and they are from CLEP themselves, so they're a little bit more accurate than the random practice test you can take.
How'd you do on that?
I did really well. I think I got 70%. And that helped me feel more confident in taking the test.
Can you remember, was the practice test from the CLEP themselves, the CLEP board, was that more like the actual test, or was Peterson's more like the actual test? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I would definitely spend the $10 to buy the CLEP exam guide.
Because I know you like that.
That's definitely a must.
And so that was mostly for the practice test, though, right? Or did it give you a lot of things to study?
It just is a practice test, the exam guide.
Okay. And then, so then tell us, how did you actually feel during the test? So you did all this preparation. You didn't know if you wanted to take the test, but you got there, you took the test, and how were you feeling during the test?
Pretty good. I would say you have to really make sure you keep going. But one of the things is with this kind of test, you kind of know pretty quick whether you know the question or not. And if you don't know it, you just have to guess. So I was pretty quick to start off. As I go, in general, I tend to start fast and then slow down a little bit more. But yeah, I ended the test with about 20 minutes left. Then I looked at the questions I had marked, and then I finished the test with a minute left. And yeah, I was able to pass with a 54, and that took a lot of hard work. So this was probably one of the hardest tests I've taken, and I've taken a lot of difficult tests.
Like she's taken biology, natural sciences, and things. Those were hard tests.
Biology, natural sciences. I've even taken college algebra.
Yeah.
Financial accounting. I've taken a lot, but this one was one of the tougher ones just because of how broad of a subject it is and how it's kind of subjective.
Okay, now one thing she hasn't mentioned that I want to tell you about that she did was she's a very visual learner. So I had her make a huge chart, and it became charts upon charts upon charts, and she hung them up all over her wall. But it was charts of time periods of the different periods.
Yeah, so the different literary
authors in there, and then the history and things.
And then the painters and the Yeah.
So you could all see kind of visually that time period and who was all involved in that. And you had the Renaissance hanging up, and you had modern, whatever, romantic. I don't even remember. I don't even know all of them.
Yeah.
But was that helpful? And was that
I would say that
something
was
you would tell-
helpful. One thing I would really recommend that we didn't mention is that in InstaCert, they have the Steady Lounge, I think it's called. But I was able to get 2 or 3 PDFs that were full of a lot of information of what people have seen. From my understanding, this was what people had seen on the test.
Like questions?
Questions, yeah, people had seen on the test, or things to know about, like authors to know about or whatever. And that was super duper helpful. Even more helpful, I would say, than making my own chart was having that, because it was a little bit more focused than just knowing all of the literary movements, all of the musical movements, all of that.
Okay.
So I would recommend that.
Yeah, there's even musical things in there, like Andante and
Bach and Beethoven and Mozart. Yeah.
Okay, so wrapping up, you gave us just a little bit of your best advice right there. Anything else that you want to tell us, some of our viewers, or what you help you? Tips?
I would just say this one's a tough one. Make sure to study well. Yeah, I feel like this one's one that's definitely worth 3 credits. I wish they would give 6 credits at our college, but yeah, definitely just know your stuff, study well, and then take the test. Take a lot of practice tests so that you feel confident, and then take the test and hope you pass.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching our video. We hope that you liked it. We ask that you subscribe, leave a comment, and if you have any tips on humanities and what to study, textbooks, or what to study that helped you, please leave them down in the comments down below. Lots of people will look at the comments and get helpful suggestions and helpful tips from those down below. And we will see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye.